Hey, Robert Valor here. Just received a phone call from a guy who is in his mid-30s. Very intelligent guy, very educated. Currently living up in Boulder, Colorado. Used to live out in LA. Had gone to OCS at Newport, Rhode Island, and physically had to get out because he had some medical issues there. He's lucky. And he's lucky because he and his wife are doing okay financially. But the point is, a lot of people aren't doing okay financially. I'm doing okay financially, although whatever money we have in the bank we're losing money on because the economy sucks. He asked me a question, and the question was, do you think that things are going to get better? I said, no, things are not going to get better because we have, and I didn't even say it to him at the point in time. He said, because of Trump, right? And I said, yeah. I said, we've got 2.5 more years with this asshole in office who doesn't know what he's doing, and he's demented, who fucked up the American economy thinking he was going to make it better, but he fucked it up, and now it's really fucked up because of his actions in the Middle East. No, things are not going to get better. They're going to get much worse financially. And then my friend Austin said to me, sounds like things are pretty much the same way everywhere. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, none of the college graduates up here in Colorado can get jobs anywhere. It's almost like it's useless having a degree. I said, pretty much. I said, and then when you throw in AI on top of that, and the way it's being done without any foresight or thought by Congress, jobs are being obliterated, but nobody's hiring, especially nobody's hiring college graduates because there simply are no jobs available. And so all of these prospective college graduates are now prospectively living with their parents in their basements and moving in. And he goes, that's funny because many of the people that work with me where I work are living with their parents. I said, well, that's indicative of a bad economy, growing only worse. I said, yeah, just like when I graduated from college in 1974, there were no jobs available then because we were in a recession. But the funny thing is, I said, Austin, the difference is that today in 2026, with the news media having journalism curtailed, without having frank and honest information being put out to the public by what's called the news media, we are simply not being told that we're in a recession in America, but we are. The economy that we're in today in 2026 is the same economy that we were in 1974 during a major recession then. The only difference is that the government and Donald Trump and his administration are not allowing journalists and not allowing the TV to tell Americans how bad things are. And they're going to get worse, much worse. China is so far ahead of the United States right now in technology and in their economy. And it's because, and you can't use the fact that they say, well, but America has so many rules that it has to abide by. No, China is just simply doing what needs to be done, not in the short term. They think 25 years ahead. China is always thinking 25 years into the future, whereas Americans and American business and American military is only thinking 1 or 2 or 3 years ahead at max. That's a huge distinction that you all should understand. And our Congress is like a paralyzed child. They see all of the wrongdoing that Donald Trump and his family and his cronies are doing, the criminal actions that they're all committing, and the fact that Donald Trump has dementia, and they're unwilling to do those things, impeachment, removal from office under the 25th Amendment, that are absolutely essential to keep the American people safe. If I was in Congress, I would put forth a law to be voted on that says anybody who runs for president and during their presidency must always disclose all of their true medical conditions, that presidents and vice presidents and even congressional members, their medical information shall not be allowed to be private. It has to be public. Because if you're going to be a public official, you need to fully disclose to the public your medical conditions that would make it impossible for you to carry out your office. We need that in America. We need that desperately. And we can see that with Donald Trump. Until we get those kinds of full public disclosures where things cannot be hidden, the truth has to come out. And until we get congressmen and senators that are willing to put their lives on the line for their country, because they are public officials, just like military people who put their lives on the line, they need to be willing to go to the mat to impeach a president that violates the public's trust. And trust me, Donald Trump has violated the public's trust over and over and over again, be it classified document retention, selling classified material to foreign powers, not working in the best interest of the American people, not trying to protect the American people, killing American citizens with the ICE and CBP and Homeland Security and National Guard, violating posse comitatus, making and enriching themselves at the expense of the American taxpayer. So many things that are so criminal in nature, and yet the Republican GOP is unwilling to stand up and do the right thing and impeach this president. This has to stop. And it's up to every American citizen to vote all of the Republicans out of office and to do what's necessary to impeach this president. Am I the only person that thinks this way? Let me know, because I'm honestly worried that I'm the only person in America still that thinks this way. You know, as a former naval officer, I spent 10 years in the Navy. As a retired Fed, I spent 32 years in government. As a retired CEO of a DC consulting firm, I had a firm that I ran for 7 years. And as a professor, I have truly, during the last 19 months of this country, lost faith in this country. And I see all these people stand up at the bars and waving flags on the 4th of July. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. What a joke. You're not free. Everything you do today in America, because our Congress has allowed it to happen, is surveilled. Everybody knows everything you're doing. They know what you say on your phone. They know what you do in your car. The apps that you use, everything that you do is surveilled. If not by law enforcement, by national security, by government computers, by your own home computers. You live in a false sense of security today in America, thinking that you are free. And my friends, you are anything but free in this country today. There are other countries where you are free. And with digital currency working ever harder with the Treasury and with certain presidents to take away cash from citizens, there will come a day of reckoning where you will not have access to your own cash. But you better have guns and ammunition, and lots of it. Because when that day comes, you're going to need those guns. And I'm a Democrat today saying that. I used to be a Republican, no more. Anybody who says, if you have parents, anybody who says that they're a Republican anymore, don't get close to them. They're dangerous people. They do not have your best interest as a citizen at heart. The congressmen and senators in the Congress that are Republicans, they do not have your interest at heart. And you need to understand that before it's too late. And with that, Robert Valor out.